Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where experts in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, more balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Our first guest today, Michèle Wolff, is a naturopath, author and lecturer, and the topic we'll be discussing is how toxins in our environment can affect our digestive health. Welcome, Michèle.
Hi, Megan.
How do toxins in our environment affect our digestive health?
Yeah, good question. Well, nowadays we've got over 84,000 registered chemicals that weren't there over 100 years ago. So we're having to deal and adapt to that as human beings. And in particular, it puts a big strain on the liver because the liver is constantly detoxing what we put on our skin, what we breathe in, toxins that we produce in our body from our own digestion or from stress. So you've got all sorts of environmental toxins. You've got toxins that are in food, toxins that are in the home that are off-gassing from paints, from furniture, toxins in clothes unless they're organic cotton, and toxins that are on foods, particularly if they're wrapped in plastics. Also, there's toxins in different sprays that we use, like cockroach sprays and fly sprays. And we have to deal with all of that. So with food wrapped in plastic, the softer the plastic, the more toxic it is. So something like Glad wrap would be more toxic than a hard plastic. And when it's warm or heated, then that becomes more toxic. So if you've got a water bottle in a plastic container on your front seat and it's a 35-degree day, then the phthalates from that plastic will go into the water and that disrupts the hormonal system. The liver has to try and detox that, and that puts pressure on the digestion. In food, we used to have a whole food diet without food additives and preservatives and so on, and now the food industry has developed food that lasts a long time, that never goes off on the food shelves. Well, that has an impact on the system as well, because it's foreign to the body and the liver has to detox that. And then the everyday things we do in our lifestyle, from getting up in the morning to going to bed, we can use a whole range of toxic products in the home. So makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, hairsprays, and cleaning products. So what you've got under your kitchen sink or in your bathroom cabinet is not necessarily healthy. When you buy new furniture or you use commercial paint, that's often off-gassing for a period of time and we're breathing that in. When you get a new car, I've recently got a new car, and in order to help get rid of the toxins, had to heat the car up and use carbon filters in the car. So, you know, unfortunately, a lot of things are not made with natural fibres. We don't have a lot of natural wood products now for furniture, and clothing isn't natural, and where we live we're breathing it in. In the home there can sometimes be things like mould that can really affect people. So once you've got mould in the home and it's visible, there are a whole lot of spores in the air that you're actually breathing in that's very harmful to the health. So that can be harmful to the digestive health, but also overall health and for the brain, and you can get symptoms of chronic fatigue and so on. And sometimes people get repeated chest infections or asthma from mould. So those are a few examples of toxins that just are an added burden, in particular to the liver. The kidneys and the skin and the lungs are all, and your bowel are all organs that eliminate toxins, so you want to be able to free them up as much as possible.
That's really good information, Michèle. How can we avoid toxic products in our home?
I think having more awareness and starting somewhere. So if you have food and you can't go straight away to all organic food, you could start with the Dirty Dozen. So you can look that up on the internet. So it's the 12 most highly sprayed fruits and vegetables, because pesticides can have a big effect on our digestive system and overall system. And start to look at more natural deodorants, toothpaste, products that you put on your skin, products that you eliminate insects with. There are totally natural ones. Cleaning products, you can start with more economical products like bicarb of soda and microfiber cloths. Many shops sell cleaning white vinegar, and they are very effective for cleaning. You can also use essential oils for nice smells instead of false perfumes, both if you're perfuming a room or if you're putting that on your body. So for example, rose essential oil is the essential oil that we would use as the most potent antidepressant, but it also is a really beautiful smell. So it's therapeutic as well. And avoiding as much as you can foods that are wrapped in plastic and drinks that are in plastic. You know, if you're lowering your load, you're lowering the impact that you're having on your liver and your overall digestion.
Do you have any extra advice for our viewers?
Yes. So those things that I mentioned, also if you want to look into it more deeply, there are various air filters available so that you can keep the air quality in your house really good. In particular, if you're living near a busy road, or if you've got furniture that's off-gassing, or you've recently painted your house, to be extra careful if you're planning to get pregnant, because it's been diagnosed in the cord blood of newborn babies, a huge amount of toxins that they've got when life has only just started. And to consult someone like myself or another naturopath to build that awareness so that you can keep taking steps to avoid those chemicals.
Thanks, Michèle. If you'd like to know more about how toxins in our environment affect our digestive system and Michèle Wolff, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, Jacqui Grant, an NDIS business consultant and empowerment coach, will be discussing the 3 fundamentals for a healthy working environment for neurodiverse people. Welcome back. Our second guest today is Jacqui Grant. She's an NDIS business consultant and empowerment coach. And the topic we'll be discussing today is the 3 fundamentals for a healthy workplace environment for neurodiverse people. Welcome, Jacqui.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Jacqui, please list for us the 3 fundamentals for a healthy workplace environment for neurodiverse people.
In the workplace, so many people who are neurodiverse or have neurodivergent traits, it comes with a lot of challenges. So one of the first things is that they are understood, like really understood for what they require as an individual. Number 2 is that the work environment is willing and able to support them. So for example, for some people, feeling overstimulated. It can be such a challenge with too many lights, too much noise. It can be quite distracting. For some people, dyslexia is a problem, but they can still do their job. They just require maybe voice to text to help them as a spell check, little things like that. As that continues to be evolving, like so some days traits are really good, like for example, hyper-focused, got the job done. Other days, nope, can't remember what those instructions were 5 minutes ago. Got part of it, but not all of it. So as a workplace creates those changes for the person, and they don't have to be expensive, the person can feel more comfortable and engaging in their job, and importantly, enjoy their job, which helps them to mask less, helps them to increase their energy and be a big part of the team. And the third thing is that they are having some allowances for those times when they're just not coping. For example, if they're triggered with what is commonly known as a meltdown. So it could just be going into overwhelm and needing to be able to walk away, going to a quiet place, being able to get up and leave their workstation to have that time out. Could be a walk around the park, it could be a walk outside, it could simply just taking some time away from everybody to feel calm, centered and grounded.
How does understanding the individual help?
So when it comes to being neurodiverse, everybody's unique, just as everybody's unique that's neurotypical. In the workplace though, if you understand each individual's requirements who are neurodiverse, and we focus on that more because it can be very overwhelming and confronting for the person who has neurodivergent traits. So when you understand as an employee, as well as the manager, as well as the co-worker, that your person that you work with has these uniqueness, these traits that they may need to follow. For example, for some people who have both ASD or on the autism spectrum and ADHD, some days they like to follow the rules and they understand exactly where everything is. But on other days, ADHD is a bit more at play, so that hyperactivity, that spontaneity, and it's like, no, there's too many steps to go from looking for a file, for example. By understanding that as a manager, you have a staff member that needs to make adaptations as to where to find that file or that information, can make their job so much easier, which in turn makes your job so much easier. So understanding each individual's requirements makes the workplace much better, not just for that individual, but for everyone else. And then as part of that, productivity can go up, more likely that everybody will show up to work because it is an all-inclusive environment, and especially for the person who is neurodivergent. One of the traits that I have as a person who has the diagnosis of ADHD as well as ASD or autism is my hyperfocus. Once I focus on a task, it's done.
If you were neurodiverse in your workplace and hesitant to talk to your manager about your needs, what's some advice you could offer to initiate this conversation with your co-workers and your manager?
Basically, there's a couple of steps with that advice. One is really get to know yourself as an individual. Like, think of your worst day that you may experience in your workplace first and write that down. Like, what is my worst day? If I get overwhelmed, if I get exhausted, am I likely to storm out of the workplace? Like, am I likely to sit in the corner and cry? Am I likely to just, complain to everybody and overshare? Like, what's the worst case that can happen? And then from there, you can say, what do I need to minimize that occurring in my job? So thinking about the job, thinking about the worst case scenario and bringing that together. And then as you bring that together, you can then say to your manager, so I'd start with the manager first and say, I'd just like to have a conversation with you about some of the things that I find challenging in the workplace that I would really like to minimize those challenges to make it so that I can come to work every day, enjoy it and do my best job. And having that positive approach of being the team player and wanting to make it work and knowing your worst case and explaining that the best way you can will make all the difference, because your manager is then potentially seeing it not so much as a challenge, but as something that, I want to work with that person. I want to help them to be part of the team and bring out their strengths, because when we bring out strengths in ourselves and each other, the workplace, for example, is such a better place. And really take your time then to have that conversation with the manager in a space that there's plenty of time. If you need to bring some evidence that helps back up your, with my dyslexia, I found that this works, so an app or something, and having the expectation of being heard, that you open communication around solving the challenge and and having the solution. Now, if you're still having trouble articulating your specific needs, then having a coach that can actually help you articulate that can be a great place. And then for it to ripple out into your co-workers, you then say to your manager, look, can we let people know that, you know, when they're constantly calling me, it's actually quite triggering, or whatever it is, and then seeing how a team approach can happen.
That's such important information. Thanks, Jacqui. If you'd like to know more about the 3 fundamentals for creating a safe working environment for neurodiverse people and Jacqui Grant, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, urban food specialist Marc Noyce will be talking about how to create your own urban edible garden. Welcome back. Our next guest is urban food specialist Marc Noyce, and the topic we're here to discuss today is how to create your own edible garden. Welcome, Marc.
Hi Megan, thanks for having me.
So Marc, what are some of the challenges we face in creating our own edible garden?
I grew up on a market garden myself, and I had broadacre farming. I had all the farming tools associated with a big urban farm. And it took a lot of work. But I tell you, when you get into our urban environment where there's a concrete jungle, it's that much harder again to grow your own food at home. So some of the challenges are having the right space, having the right aspects so that you get the right light onto your plants, because, you know, let's face it, some plants need a lot more light than others. Lettuce might only need 4 to 5 hours a day, whereas tomatoes and some other sun-loving plants need up to 10 hours a day of sunlight, so they need to be in full sun. So that's a challenge, getting the light and the aspect right, getting your nutrition right for your plants, getting the right nutrients in there, getting a high quality compost or a high quality potting mix. That's very important as well, to keep that nutrition up to feed the plants. We all like to get fed well, so do our plants, and they need to get fed well too, to get the best out of them. Another very important thing to remember is having access to water. Plants like water access all the time. If a plant doesn't get, and especially vegetables, if a plant doesn't get what they need in terms of water access, they go, I'm not going to be around here much longer, so I'm going to go to seed. I'm going to fulfill my life's mission, and I'm going to just go to seed. And we call that bolting. When a vegetable doesn't like its water environment, it gets too stressed, it releases a little hormone that says, hey, go to seed. So getting that water right for your plants, you can either be out there watering all day, you can be out there watering morning, noon and night just to keep that optimal water up to your plants, or you can set your garden up much easier with wicking garden beds, for example.
Marc, what are the benefits of having an edible garden?
The benefits are just enormous in terms of your mental health, in terms of your physical nutrition, in terms of your connecting with your friends and family and your community. So let's have a look at those aspects of an urban edible garden. I love going out to my own garden and knowing where my food comes from, looking at these plants and watching them grow and being part of that, and then understanding exactly what I put into those plants so that I know that I'm getting really fresh, organic produce that is just tasty and nutritious and just fantastic to eat. The benefits also getting involved in knowing where your food comes from, and also communicating with your friends and family that maybe you haven't seen for a while. So let's grow some beetroots. Grow some beetroots and then make some beetroot relish, and in a very small place you can grow 3 kilos of beetroot in 2 months in half a square metre, make a relish that can go to 5 or 6 people in your family, and your friends will love you. And not only that, your getting so much satisfaction out of growing your own food. You're getting a lot of satisfaction about getting in contact with people that you might not have seen for a while, and you're starting that conversation again. You're increasing your mental health, you're helping others, and then you can give back something to your community as well. On a broader scale, you can grow food for your neighbours, you can get people involved into a community garden, and you can just have an enormous uplifting of self-confidence and community confidence about closing your nutrient loops, reusing water for food, and I'm just rambling on, I shouldn't have said that.
Marc, can I grow the same plant over and over again?
Well, you can, but if you don't do certain things to keep ensuring that the potting mix is fresh, if you don't remove the biomass that's, the root systems, the stem of the plant, for example, you can't just keep planting in the same spot all the time. It's gardening 101. You look at our farmers turn over the soil and they recompost and they re-add nutrient, and they just make sure that the growing media is fresh and optimal after every season that the vegetables come out of. We've got to do the same for our own environment, our own containerised growing in urban environments. So yes, you can, but if you don't refresh your potting mix, if you don't deal with the biomass that's created when a vegetable puts its tremendous root systems down, then you're not going to get the best out of it. And some plants really suck the nutrient out of potting mix. And let's face it, what a plant is doing is it's taking that energy that's in the potting mix and they're converting it into biomass and something yummy that we like to eat. So it's just a big energy transfer. So when that vegetable's done, we've got to put more energy back into the soil. And that's through refreshing the compost, refreshing the potting mix with either nutrient, soluble fertiliser, or some of our green waste. We can actually put our green waste back into the soil to grow more nutritious food.
That's fantastic. So Marc, what's some advice you've got for our audience in creating their own edible garden?
My advice would be to think about what you're going to grow. Think about where you're going to grow it. Think about what you're going to grow it in, and then make a plan. We need to also think about how we're going to manage our vegetable garden, edibles, by getting the right sunlight, getting the right aspect, protecting them from bugs with either netting, protecting them from really harsh conditions like wind through netting and shade cloth, and thinking about crop rotation, thinking about what am I going to plant in the potting mix after my tomatoes come out, and maybe you put onions in there, and then you swap that over after you've reset your nutrition in your potting mix.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for that great information, Marc. If you'd like to know more about Marc Noyce and how to create your own edible garden, please go to his webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And that's all for us today, so we'll say bye-bye for now, and we'll see you next week. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.